Hello, this is Corinne Patterson, Associate Commissioner for Championships and Sports Programs at the Mid-American Conference. Welcome to the One Question Leadership Podcast. As a participant of the NCAA Dr. Charles Whitcomb Leadership Institute, I have grown professionally and personally. As a servant leader, I enjoy seeing the success of others. Through the past few years, I have had the opportunity to be a part of the Leadership Institute Alumni Planning Committee, providing continuing education and programming for the alumni. If anyone asks me one of the NCAA programs to take part in, I always encourage them to apply for the Leadership Institute. Enjoy the episode.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown, and welcome to the One Question Leadership Podcast, where we highlight executive and organizational leadership. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 1Q Leadership. Today's episode is hosted by our guest host, Mattie White. Mattie is the Deputy Athletics Director and Senior Woman Administrator at Indiana University. Take it away, Mattie.
Welcome to the One Question Leadership Podcast. My name is Mattie White. I'm the Deputy Athletic Director, Senior Woman Administrator at Indiana University, and I'm excited today to interview Jashell Mitchell, who's currently at Jackson State University. Jashell has done so many things in the football space, working from college athletics to professional athletics, been in corporate America, and doing great things in her home community. So, Jashell, welcome to the podcast.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
We're excited to have you here. So I know I briefly talked about you and your experience, but would you share with our listeners just how you got to Jackson State?
Oh, wow. It's been a, transformational opportunity. Great experience to be back in the HBCU space. My current head coach, T.C. Taylor, was my offensive coordinator at North Carolina Central University during our 3 championships. So like you say, it's about relationships, about who knows you, who remembers you, and doing a great job where you are. So here I am, currently serving as the Chief of Staff for football at Jackson State University.
I mean, so it is a big deal when someone from your past says, hey, I got this opportunity. I want to take you to be a part of my future and to help our program. So, I mean, that's a testament to you and your leadership.
Yeah.
I know before we talk about your professional life, we know you were killing it out there in the paint, right?
Yes.
So you played basketball in high school, back-to-back state champions?
Back-to-back state champs, Flint Northern High School, Flint, Michigan.
I'm not going to be mad. I'm from Ohio,
okay.
But there's still love for that. I got family.
Midwest love.
Right. And then you went on to play basketball at Bethune-Cookman.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And then inducted into the Bethune-Cookman, 40 under 40?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes,
just doing all big things.
I'm trying. Definitely.
Right. So as a leader, how have you seen yourself grow from that young woman and we're at the Women Leaders Convention. We're in New Orleans, but seeing yourself grow as a young leader in basketball to now being a leader in intercollegiate athletics, like how have you grown?
Oh, yes, grown a lot. It started off on my first time heading to college, being from Michigan and going to school in Daytona Beach, Florida. That was a transition in itself. So I had to grow up very fast. I couldn't go home on the weekends. At that particular time, AirTran flights was $7,500 round trip. So you went home for the holidays if you could, if you didn't have a basketball tournament. So it was an opportunity for me to learn and expand. My parents did an awesome job of just instilling in me, how to grit, grind, take care of your business. Both my parents are retirees of General Motors. So I learned from a very young age of how to work hard and do your job and, do it at a very high level. So I didn't take that lightly, and that took my talents to Daytona Beach, Florida.
Right. Okay. So you went from the beach, and then how did you find yourself working in football? I know you were director of operations for basketball too.
Correct.
So how did you transition from basketball to football?
Well, during my time at Bethune-Cookman, I was able to work with 2 historic head coaches, Coach Alvin Shine Wyatt. I always say Shine before Prime.
Mm-hmm.
He was Coach Shine at Bethune-Cookman, and he gave me an opportunity to work in football at Bethune-Cookman University. So administratively, I just, again, before it was labeled operations, had an opportunity to continue to work and learn through the football department, also through men's basketball, Coach Reed. So again, I was the student manager before I graduated from Bethune-Cookman for the men's basketball team. So at Bethune-Cookman, we didn't have fall graduation, so I had another semester before I could walk in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
So I was the student manager for the men's basketball team under Coach Reed. And that showed me and gave me the opportunity to just understand and know the behind the scenes work in operations for a Division I program. And I didn't take that lightly. I took it very serious. I knew I wanted to, stay in the space. I didn't want to coach. And at the time, I didn't want to play professional. It was just the, emergence of the WNBA. But I knew I wanted to be behind the scenes in administration and operations work. So that gave me yes, this is it.
Yeah. And so you're like, this is it. And I found my way. Now, when you were at North Carolina Central, you all were successful there.
Oh, yes.
Right?
No question. My head coach, Jerry Mack, came in with a plan, one of the youngest coaches in the country. At that particular time, he brought me on as his director of operations, again, relationships. He was my coach at University of Memphis. He was an assistant coach there at University of Memphis when I served. And he got the job at North Carolina Central University. Again, another phone call. Hey, I want you to come be my director of football operations. I asked the question, what does that look like and what does that mean to you? He gave, me the opportunity. I went to North Carolina with a plan, and 3 championships later, it was a blessing.
Right. But you talk about his success, the program success, but you were an anomaly at that time as a woman in that role, right?
No question. At that particular time, I was less than one of 10 in the country of director of football operations who, women who served in that role. Again, we were, a mini football sorority at that time because we talked. We went to AFCA, we connected, we collaborated. Hey, what do you guys do at this, particular juncture of planning and hotels, travel? We leaned on each other, and I appreciated that because, again, it was, I wouldn't say the unbeaten path, but we depended on each other to make our job successful.
Right. And so in that success, I know in the operations world, I mean, programs can't exist without you.
No
question. Because you're doing all the things to keep everything moving. You keep everything smooth, right?
No question.
But how do you feel like, as a woman, your perspective has helped shape and contributed to the success of the programs that you have worked and been a part of?
No question. It's vital. Even from a recruiting perspective, on those recruiting visits, those moms and grandmas and guardians and fathers, a lot of the kids come from a single parent home, probably mother, grandmother figure. And on those recruiting visits, some of those parents or student athletes look at me as a big sister or auntie. And, at the same time, I can give them that eye like, hey, stay in line. Just that motherly, sisterly figure that I'm able to lean on for the student athletes, for them to have a great experience at our institution. So I didn't take that lightly.
Mm-hmm.
I also, it was beneficial for their visit, for their parents and their guardians to feel calm, like, hey, okay, I know, this sister's going to look out. She's going to be, keep them in line and, keep them on the right path. So I respected that and I embraced that, and it turned out well.
Yeah. So with being that close, in such close proximity to coaches,
yes,
we talk a lot about coaches and their philosophies, and they get quoted all the time. What is your leadership philosophy, and how has the being around those coaches impacted you as a leader?
Definitely. My leadership philosophy is to be a servant leader. There's no job above me. There's no job below me. And I'm there to serve as much as I possibly can for the student athletes, for the coaches families, and for their quality of life. And I didn't take that lightly. So for me, just, being able to do what I can for my head coach, for my athletic director, for my coaching staff, for my coaches' families. That meant the world to me. To be a resource, to be an asset, not a liability. And I didn't take that lightly in my roles. So that have served to be successful for me. A great, feather in my cap, so to speak. It's the little things that people, may not look at. It's the birthdays, it's the anniversaries.
Yeah.
Hey, it's your wife's birthday. Send her a card, send her some flowers, or, hey, Jashell, what is women like these particular days? What should I get my wife? And, owning that, because again, they're worried about X's and O's. They're worried about the next opponent, and to be able to have a resource and an ally for those off the field opportunities, I was a blessing, to be able to serve in that capacity for many roles that I've done in my career.
Yeah. So who are some of those resources and allies that have helped you get to where you are?
Oh my gosh. First and foremost, my Lord and Savior. Because again, it's a lot of prayerful days.
Yeah.
Being away from my family, traveling across the country. So first and foremost, my faith. For me, my parents, I have very supportive parents in my career journey. and my family. Right now, my fiance is a big support as well. My two bonus children. I know I have, big shoes. In my career, there has been plenty of women that have championed for me. Dr. Kiki Baker Barnes has been, an awesome champion, an awesome leader. Renee Miles Payne, it's so vital for women to continue to be a blessing to you. Dr. Inga Wicker McCree, AD of the year. I worked for her at North Carolina Central University. So I had women in my peripheral just to be able to say, hey, what are your thoughts on this? What are best practices here and there? So that's just a few women who've just paved the way for me. Valencia Jordan, Tennessee State. It's just so many women. I can go on and on, but just so many big shoes to fill. And I try to make sure that my shoes are wiped off and ready to go to leave that trail as well.
All right. And as you talk about leading that trail, and again, us being at Women Leaders, we talk about as we rise, we lift as we rise.
Yes.
And so if you were able to share some insight or give some advice to young women who want to be like you, who want to either work in operations or work in football, what advice would you give them?
I would definitely say, think outside the box. For one, there is no box. Create your own path, but also don't think that you're the only one. Try to be the only one. And what I mean by that is what sets you apart? What makes you different? What are you bringing to the table that's different from anyone else who submits a resume or HR, gives that list of all of the applicants? At the same time, your work will speak for you. People will speak for you when you do a great job, when you mean well, and you want the student athletes to have a great experience. And the families of those, coaches and administrators, they remember how you are. So how you are as a person, what you give back, your energy, your excitement for what you do and how you serve, all of that matters. So definitely, stay the course and continue to be a champion for yourself. Now, sometimes people won't clap for you. At the same time, clap for yourself. Because again, you're going to need those down times to reflect. At the same time, where things are going well, how are you also still championing yourself and your career and your journey and where you are, celebrating where you are and keeping it moving as well?
Mm-hmm. So in celebrating where you are, how has football given you a unique platform in which to lead?
Oh, man, unique platform. Football has been a blessing to me. I don't get into the X's and O's. I know, high level things you would think I would know football, top to bottom. At the same time, I don't get into the X's and O's. I enjoy the ops and administrative side of the house. I enjoy being a support system for the student athletes and the coaches, for them to think outside the box. For the Total Tiger experience is something I created at Jackson State University for our off-the-field endeavors, our leadership and professional development side of the house.
Yeah.
And that's helpful for me because, again, I get the looks, or are you the athletic trainer? Are you the coach's wife? Or, are you the, just not everything but football operations?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, I'm the chief staff football. Oh, what do you do? Everything but coach. So it's just the factor of making a difference, keeping the coaches in line. My head coach, he's awesome, TC Taylor, of just letting them know, you focus on coach, I'll handle the rest.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that opportunity to be able to serve in that capacity for football.
And you continue to say serve, and you talked about your philosophy being a servant leader. And so in doing my research on you, and knowing that you're from Flint and you wanting to maintain your impact on that community there in Flint, you are part of the Invisible Giants Legacy and Leadership Foundation.
Yes.
You want to talk about that?
Oh, yes. That's my baby. Invisible Giants Legacy and Leadership Foundation is an organization in Flint, Michigan that provides resources through education, recreation, and sports. We provide registration, equipment, and just opportunities for students and youth and adults in the area to have a relief. I know Flint, Michigan is an underserved area. We specifically support financially for organizations and youth in various capacities. We support different organizations that do various things: football, basketball, education, pastries, nutrition. So we're a support for that particular area. A lot of parents and families don't have equipment, cleats, gloves, helmets, donations. And so that's where we step in behind the scenes, invisible for a reason. Don't have to be up front, all in the videos, all in the getting the credit. We like serving behind the scenes. So that's what we do in the city of Flint, and we're very proud of that.
All right, so our listeners clearly can't see you, but in your face when you talk, you light up about your career. But there's a tinge of emotion when you talk about Flint.
Yes.
What is it about home for you?
There's no place like home. I come from a rich history of athletics, male and female. I can run the list. Pamela Paula McGee, Linnell Jones McKinney, Latia Hewley, just so many, Deanna Nolan, Tawana McDowell, Clarissa Shields, championship boxing. Like, I can go on and on and on. That's just the female side. My coach, Coquise Washington, head coach at Rutgers right now.
Yeah.
Lori Bird, championship with the Detroit Shock. My teammate, Deanna Nolan, champion with the Detroit Shock. So those are teammates. Those are friends. Those are family. And I just think Flint is just such a gold mine of athletic history, male or female. And to be a part of that in my back-to-back state championship with Flint Northern High School, in my collegiate career, and being back home to serve for, those before me and those after me. It's another hidden sorority fraternity, so to speak, that we have in Flint, because Flint means the world to me. And after my career, once I kind of, dwindle down, so to speak, and just kind of being more, of a consultant space, I definitely want to go back home and serve in the athletic capacity through facilities, recreation, and sports.
And you, when you talk, I also feel this theme of gratitude. You know, you say all these names, and I know people are saying your name too, right? And particularly those impacted by the foundation, the students every day. Because again, I know in your role, like if you aren't on top of your game, things fall apart quickly.
Real quick.
Right. So how does gratitude play into your daily life? And then how do you see that manifest itself in the students that you work with?
Well, gratitude and being thankful. I come from a thankful family. I'm thankful for the opportunities I've had. Again, working at the NFL, some people will give a kidney, a lung to go to Super Bowl and Pro Bowl. And some of my experiences alone, I know are, just life-changing things for some people. And to have that as my daily job, like, I have to be thankful. I have to be gracious and grateful for the opportunity, because again, God chose me, to serve in these capacities. So the people that paved the way before me, what right is that of mine not to pay it forward and give opportunities after me? So I keep that in mind, and I don't take that lightly, and I try to provide opportunities as much as I possibly can, because, this thing called life could be taken away at any moment. And I want to be sure. I don't want to be that shoulda, coulda, woulda. I want to step out on faith and, give it a try, give it a shot, because again, you never know. Make your next move your best move. And I don't take that lightly in any role that I've served in.
And, what's great about when you're at these conferences or conventions and you talk about making your next move and, people talk about pivoting or whatnot. And since you've been to so many places, how have you been able to move, encourage, and not let fear of like, what does this look like? Because, when you're working with these programs, and specifically tied to some of these coaches, if things don't go successful, that can impact you.
No question. No question.
So how have you been able to move courageously?
It's more of a leap of faith. On paper, my first job was the University of Arizona, Tucson, Arizona. That's a long way from Flint, Michigan.
I know you be like this heat. You like the heat, though. Okay,
I do. It in cold weather, it gets me now because my blood is thin. So, at the same time, I took a leap of faith because, again, my first job, Division I program, historic, University of Arizona, Hall of Fame coach Joan Bombasini, Hall of Fame coach Lute Olson, Director of Basketball Operations in the Pac-10 at the time.
Yeah.
That's historic. Leaving Arizona, going to Bethune-Cookman, serving in academics, going to the University of Memphis, serving in administration, football administration, historic, serving in other opportunities, North Carolina Central, one of 10 in the country, North Carolina Central to the league office. People was like, how did you leave an HBCU to go to the NFL? Favor, work, doing the work, building relationships. Going to the NFL to serve under Executive Vice President Troy Vincent for HBCU Relations, the HBCU Experience Program I helped create, HBCU Careers and Football Forum, I help maintain those relationships with the SWAC conference and the MEAC conference for opportunities for those students to touch and feel and connect with our NFL representatives. That's what I mean. Historic. Yeah. How are you leaving your legacy, your mark? From the NFL, went home and worked corporate for one of the biggest companies in the world, rocket companies, one of the great Dan Gilbert and HBCU University Relations. Now serving Chief of Staff under AD of the Year, Ashley Robinson. Great coach, T.C. Taylor. Have to be grateful, have to be thankful. Because again, if you don't take a chance on yourself, how is somebody going to take a chance on you when you don't bet on yourself?
Yes, absolutely. So you reference, and we know that HBCUs have been part of your present,
no
right?
Question.
But also part of your past. There you go. You lighten up again. So I know I got on a good spot. So we talk about HBCUs.
Yeah.
And we know that HBCUs have gotten more and more attention, as they should.
Yes.
Recently, particularly in the athletic space. Share with our listeners what your HBCU experience was like and how it helped mold you into the woman you are today.
Oh my gosh, my HBCU experience was everything. Being at Bethune-Cookman University, founded by Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, that's historic in itself, female at that particular time, $1.50 to build a school. For that to be a legacy of mine, I want to Mary's girls. I have the hashtag made by Mary. That's by design. Again, for her, she was a giant amongst men. And at the time, for her to do what she did, and me attending Bethune-Cookman University, what other inspiration do you need? Than Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. So I didn't take that lightly as well, of just being mindful of your presence, of your thought process, of how you want to leave your legacy. So just this Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune left her legacy, I intend and carry myself to leave my legacy as well, that some young woman or a professional look at my path and say, hey, she did it her way.
Hey, well, you talk about Mary Bethune, her being a giant among men. You're a giant among men, right?
True, too. Still have some hills and valleys to climb. At the same time, I got on the right shoes. So I'm looking forward to that. And I don't take that lightly because, again, I know it could be, different. Some people struggle in their careers. I'm not saying that I haven't struggled, because I have. At the same time, what are you going to do about it? Make the best of it and keep it moving.
Yeah. So when you, when you look at leadership and our students nowadays, because you're in a very unique position. You said you worked in academics. In your role, you're working with our students day in and day out. What do you think our student athletes, particularly our young males, what do they need from us to help them be successful?
Consistency, visualization of positive experiences. Some of them come from homes that may not be as loving, inspiring, future, planning, and they need that. Tough love, at the same time, I'm going to get on you. At the same time, I'm trying to help you understand who you are and what you want to do and help you get there. We're quick to say, oh, you shouldn't do that. You should. Okay, well, great. What should I do? So I don't take that lightly, especially with my young men of different athletic departments I've worked in. And that's just something that they see and feel. Once they know that you care, they'll run through a brick wall for you. And that's what my guys are right now at Jackson State University. And that goes for the coaches as well. They know I mean well. They know I want to see them do well. And I'm going to give them that look and that stern talk of when they're not doing the right thing, or maybe thinking about different things, or in an exploratory phase of what they want their future to look like. And I'm all for it because, again, I look at some of these young men as my sons. They're old enough. I'm old enough to be their mother. At the same time, I want to be sure, let them, I see you. How can I help you?
Yeah.
How can you help yourself first and foremost? Then I can help you on that, phase 2, phase 3. So I don't take that lightly. I live vicarious through my students and their successes academically, off the field, family-wise, and, just take it with a grain of salt and continue to be blessed.
And so then on that flip side, being in a very male-dominated space, how do you connect with women to make sure that your cup is always full?
Oh, my gosh. Things such as this, Women Leaders Convention, catching up with some of my colleagues and friends throughout the industry. Also having that downtime. Sometimes I'm working on learning how to turn it on and turn it off. Go take that spa day. Go get your nails done. Go get a facial. Go get a massage. it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be there. It may be on fire when you get back, but go ahead and bring that extinguisher with you.
Yeah.
So I embrace those moments because, again, I know it could be different, but where I am in life at this particular time, serving my community, serving my family, and just serving the students of JSU, I don't take that lightly, and I'm excited, for the opportunity from A.D. Robinson and Coach T.C. Taylor.
So when we think about where you've been, where you're at right now, and I mean, just the energy that exudes from you.
Yeah.
What does the future hold for you? Where do you see yourself growing as a leader? I won't make you say, hey, I want to, sometimes like, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
We're beyond that, right? But when you think about yourself as a leader, how do you see yourself growing, and what spaces do you want to continue to be in to be impactful? And to serve, because I know it's important to you.
Oh, yeah, no question. I let the Lord order my steps.
Yeah.
I follow my heart, and I armor my mind to do what I love, and that's to serve and help people. In my future, I see myself potentially conference office, potentially director of athletics, consulting for athletics and recreation, even potentially serving on the high school level because, again, name, image, likeness is real.
Mm-hmm.
The transition of recruiting a student athlete is real, and it mostly impacts our communities of color. So that education back in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade high school, guardians and parents, I could see myself serving in some sort of capacity of helping educate them through the process.
Yeah.
So I know that's very broad, but also, Invisible Giants continuing to help my community of Flint, Michigan, of what that looks like through sports education and recreation. So God is good, and I know He's going to provide and serve, and I'm just, doing what I can do and serving as much as I possibly can.
All right. So as I start to wrap this up, I'd like to give folks an opportunity to provide their nugget of wisdom. So to our listeners out there who are, thinking about, how do I grow as a leader? How do I impact my community? How can I serve other people to make this world outside of just college athletics a better place? What advice would you give to them?
I would definitely say continue to educate yourself, remain connected, maintain positive relationships, maintain positive energy. And that's very important. And just continue to, live life and understand who you are and what you're here to do and how you're here to serve.
Yeah.
Serving other people gets you many, many places faster than not. For me, my thought process and my mantra is to remain high level, not eye level. And I mean that of, hey, make sure your actions and your plans and your thoughts are higher than the usual. Because if everybody's at eye level, what makes you different? So operating high level, not eye level.
No, I love that. And I love when people are like, in this book, I've read enough, can't ever remember a book, but remember the book that I got it from. But I remember distinctly reading, or what has been etched in my heart is that your value increases by the amount of people that you serve, right?
No question.
So you have been able to serve on so many levels. Like we said, the corporate level, you're clearly serving across campuses, in multiple campuses across our country. You've been able to serve. You're serving your home community. And Jashell, you have done Flint proud, right? So you are definitely one of Flint's finest. And leaving off, you said wrapping up with what you said, being and leading from a high level and not eye level. It has just been an honor to be here with you today and to learn more about you, and just want to continue to do what you're doing. You can just tell and see the impact that you're having, on those students, but also for young women, being able to see women in other spaces that we don't traditionally get to be seen, or people witness us. So as you list off all those names, as I said before, the coaches, teammates, and administrators who've impacted you, I know if I talk to those young men and women who get to interact with you at Jackson State or those at North Carolina Central, your name is going to come out their mouth too.
No question.
So just keep doing what you're doing. It's been a blessing. You have definitely answered our one question in leadership for this podcast today. So to our listeners out there, thank you for listening in. Hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about Jashell Mitchell, her pathway from the hardwood, I guess, to the gridiron, and then just leading and changing and shaping lives in college athletics. So Thank you all. It's been a pleasure. Stay on that high level. Some of us are short, though, that eye level. So I definitely need that high level. And thank you for listening.
No problem. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
This episode of the One Question Leadership Podcast is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.